Hi guys, I want to talk about solids for a little bit. I didn't update about solids and Violet eating solids because I wanted to make a separate video about it. What we do, I was going to say what we did, but I guess that's true too. What we did with Paisley, I learned about baby led weaning when Carson was probably, I don't know, 10 months old or something. And so at about that point we started implementing that with him. But by that point he had already had pureed foods and things like that. And with Paisley I continued to research it and just try to understand it better. And we experimented more with it and took more of a baby-led weaning approach with her. That doesn't mean she never got purees, however you want to say it. But I think, gosh, don't mark my words, but I think for the most part, the only pureed baby food she got was like oatmeal and things like that. But it was never like buy a, can of sweet potatoes and feed it to her. And we're doing the same thing with Violet. So, baby-led weaning is, I printed out this thing for a more, accurate definition of what baby-led weaning is. And it just means letting your child feed themselves from the very start of weaning. Now, weaning is considered, it's considered to start at the time where your baby no longer is exclusively breastfed, meaning that your baby is taking in nutrition from another source. And that's what's considered weaning, because eventually the child will fully wean and only eat table foods. So that's just where that definition comes from. Letting your child feed themselves, I know that sounds crazy to some because they're like, what about choking? What about that, right? So, I read a blog. There's several blog posts about it, and I'll post links below. But a good place to start is knowing the difference between gagging and choking. Gagging is a very natural reflex that we have. If water goes down the wrong pipe, so to say, I know we only have one pipe, but that's just the saying. You cough, you get it out, right? So gagging, if a piece of food or an object gets too close to the back of the throat, they gag, right? And so it's just a tongue reflex. It's not dangerous to gag. It's quite safe actually. And if you've got a good gag reflex, then you'll be fine. So with that said, Paisley's gagged before. Never has Paisley truly choked on something, which means blocked air pipe completely, something lodged, stuck. Now gagging scares some people because they're not familiar with it. They think that going like that is choking. It's actually not choking at all. If you would, and this is so hard for some people, so I'm not saying that everybody needs to take this approach to solids, but if you're comfortable enough, just chill for a minute. Like yesterday, Violet had a saltine cracker while we were at lunch. And they get really mushy. They're really thick. And she eventually broke some off. And I guess it got too far back, for her comfortable level. And she kind of gagged for a little bit. And so I just left her alone and she worked it back up. Watching for other signs of blocked, restricted air. She never once showed those signs, so I didn't touch her. A lot of times, if you mistake gagging for choking, a parent will go and slap the kid on the back, which sometimes it can make it worse to where your choking actually can cause a child to choke. So I encourage you to just leave the child be. And I say that lightly. I'm not telling you to. I encourage you to take an infant CPR class and resuscitation class. That way they teach the difference in true choking where it would need, emergency help. So I don't want to be held liable if your child's actually choking and you don't know the difference. But that's where I start. So if you can just become familiar with the difference between gagging and actually choking, baby-led weaning might be able to work for you. The reason I choose to do baby-led weaning instead of, you know, what has been developed into the normal way to introduce solids with straight-up blended food from the get-go is really a simple one. It's easier for us. It is easier for us to not have to worry about, oh my God, do I have something totally separate for the baby to eat? It just works better to hand her something off our plate, appropriately cooked. It just is, it's easier for us to deal with, and it eventually develops, natural exploration eventually develops into chewing and eventually swallowing, all within the natural appropriate timeline. I don't have to teach her to eat from a spoon. I don't have to teach her how to swallow her food. I don't have to teach her how to suck from a straw. I don't have to teach her how to breastfeed. It just goes along with the natural slow pace. She's still, you know, 99% breastfed, and I leave that 1% open for her exploring on the, you know, the baby-led weaning foods. And I say baby-led weaning foods, but it's just normal foods that you and I would eat every day. Avocado, slices of avocado, carrots, broccoli, sweet potato, fries. And I say fries just because I slice them up and bake them in the oven and hand them to her. Banana. She's had slices of apple, things like that, really. And so, you know, the majority of her nutrition still comes from breast milk, and it will continue to be that way until at least a year. It's important to me to keep the majority of her calorie and fat intake from me. There's no way that a serving of sweet potatoes or a serving of avocado is going to have more nutritional value than a nursing session. So it's really important to not substitute nursing session for a meal until well after they're a year old. That just kind of develops naturally. I've always just kind of been an on-demand feeder from the minute she was born. She's hungry, she eats, and that's it. I don't care if it was 5 minutes ago or if it was 4 hours ago. That's just the way I've always done it, and so this just fits perfectly with that. I've got some footage of her actually eating some food if you guys are interested in seeing that. If you're interested in more information about baby-led weaning, I will leave the links below, and there are several YouTube videos about it. Just put it in the search bar. You'll find some babies eating some food. It's pretty cute. So anyway, if you have any more questions, just let me know. Talk to y'all later. Bye.